So, hey everybody, your high score was Self Reliant. So, welcome to this space. It's surprising actually to have some people that are quite high in the Self Reliant. From my experience working in the leadership arena, a lot of people that are in leadership roles are normally self reliant. So, they're top of the food chain, right? But really, they get into those leadership positions, you start to now realize that you need to work on yourself because you're starting to manage and lead others, that the personality types underneath you are not like you. I know you probably want them to be, but here's the secret, they're not. So when we start to look at 5 traits of a self-reliant person, they are going to be competitive. Oh yeah, they are competitive. And this is why a lot of personalities that are high up in the top, like CEOs and in leadership roles and as manager roles, or even in sports as well, they very much are driven by that competitive nature they have. So they're very quick at also making decisions. So that's another one I've got decisive, is that they'll get in there and just do it. Don't have time for all that fluff and all that small stuff. Just got to get in and just do it, okay? So they're very direct, self-starters. So they need to work, I'll just do it anyway. I don't need a team. I'll just do it on my own. So here I am working on my own. So very much that type of trait. And they're very bold, quite bold and quite direct. So they'll tell you what they think. So sometimes the filters aren't there. Maybe they should be. But you know what I enjoy about a self-reliant personality is that I know where I stand. And because lucky for myself, being a promoter personality type, I don't get my feelings don't get hurt when they tell me that. Not to say I don't like when they give me that, that content back. But what I mean is I don't let it get to me. Whereas people that are the diplomats, and remember, if you've looked at any of my other things online, is that a majority of the world are diplomats. So a lot of personality types are those very soft, very natured, loving, caring. Otherwise, the world wouldn't keep going if we didn't have them. But when you're actually managing a lot of those and you are that self-reliant, you've got to be very mindful when you have conversations with them. I know you may not think so, and you may think, why should I? It's their problem, not mine. But the reality is that we have people, we've got to look after people, and people want to know that they're being supported and cared for. So it's really good when you start to see people, especially in the coaching world that I'm working, where the self-reliant people, they don't really always want to come forward. It takes them a while to actually contact whether a coach or a therapist. But once they do, they start to open up that can of worms and realize, well, how can I be a better leader? How can I lead people? And it's starting to become quite, introspective of their own traits and what's going on for them as well. So when we talk about emotions, is there any? Because remember, they're quite task focused. So we all have emotions, whether they're good, whether they're bad, there is no such thing. They're emotions. But when it comes to the self-reliant, if they haven't really had that insight into that softer part, when, they get married and they have children and they love them, so we know they're there. We know those emotions are there. But they probably think, well, those people deserve my time and my love. Whereas, it's like, well, no one else does. But, we all know that it doesn't work that well. With emotions, you have to be emotionally intelligent. We can have an IQ, but when it comes to emotional intelligence, some people have either got it or they don't. But the good news is you can work on it. But to work on it, you need to become self-aware. Not only to become self-aware, you then need to learn how to actually manage those emotions. So that's self-regulation. You need to have some understanding, so that empathy, and you need to have some social skills. Daniel Goleman, if you hadn't had a chance to look at his work, that may help you find the softer side, because it's there. We just have to let it out a bit more. So when we think about emotions in the self-reliant, the ones that come to mind is they will be quite anger. There will be that they're furious. There's that agitated. They get cranky. You've got that person in the workplace that if you're that promoter, like myself, and you just come with them, blah, 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 talk, they're like, just go away. I'm getting angry here. So there is a lot of that anger that comes out. They're quite adventurous, which is a good thing. They're quite risk takers. They'll give it a go and just take it and just do it, and quite eager. So, but their eagerness can also create not necessarily having that patience. Remember, who are your people? If you are working with, in teams who are those people that you're working with. They might not be like you. And this is when we talked about, when I was looking at the organizer, they have certain expectations and they expect the same of others. Well, self-reliant people can be like that too, because they're quite competitive. They can have really quite high standards and expect everyone to meet that standard as well. And the reality is it's not going to happen and you're going to get disappointed. Whereas an organizer might get a little bit, a bit quiet, reserved from it, a bit sad. Self-reliant is going to get pissed off and angry because you haven't met that. So very different, the yin and the yang, when it comes to how they react to things. So when we talk about roadblocks, so you want to know them. Even if you do, you probably don't really care anyway, so that's a good thing. You can't really hurt a self-reliance personality. You can't hurt their feelings, because some people say, what feelings? They do have them, and, especially I've come across them many times in my therapeutic sort of world as well. So it's just about chipping away and getting them to become self-aware. But a lot of people lack self-awareness as well. We don't really talk about a lot of this. We should be talking about it at school age, where people can learn to identify their own emotional balance and their own mental self as well. It's very important. So let's look at roadblocks. So they can be direct, demanding. They can say it how it is. I always look at it as an analogy like this. I have quite a few friends that are self-reliant and I love them to death. And that's the thing, when you get to know people and you have an understanding where they're coming from, and there is more to us than just our traits, our values, our beliefs, our DNA, our environment, and we build those relationships and build that trust. But when they tell me and give me some feedback, whoa, it's like getting stabbed in the chest. It really is quite painful, and it might not be as easy to digest at first. That's like any sort of feedback, whether you call it constructive feedback. But you know what? Because of the relationship I have with that person, I take it on board. So when it comes to self-reliant people having those conversations, they are quite not much tack. They do need to learn how to actually say the conversation. They have no problem saying it. They just need to learn to say, how do I say it and who am I? And look at the context. Who am I actually talking to? If they're talking to probably another self-reliant person, they could probably just throw knives at each other. No, not that bad. But if they're talking to someone that's that is the actual diplomat, remember, they're the emotive people. They want you to consider their own emotional needs and consider how it might impact themselves. Whereas the self-reliant saying, I don't really care how you react to it. You've done something wrong and I need to tell you. So imagine how magic it is if we can get this all right in this space, especially if we are leaders. It'll work for us. So it's really important with self-reliant people that, they're aware of this, the roadblocks, and you can probably tell them. It's whether they take it on board and do something about it's another thing, and you know who you all are, and you're probably listening to this going, yeah, I don't really care what other people think, but that's great. But the thing is ask your team how they think you're going. That's always a good place to start. Ask your family members, do they think you go off? Because some people won't approach you because they're too scared of how you would react. Now, it might go along okay all right in your world, but as we get a little bit older as well, and we have to really look after our own mental health and our wellness, that being angry all the time, it's not going to work. Eventually, the walls will start to, cave on in. So you need to be mindful of that and check in with how you're traveling. So that is our self-reliant. There won't be as many people that are self-reliant because it is such a small percentage. But I do see them in very high up leadership spots as a coach. And it's really great when they start to become self-aware because it starts that open up the door for them. And you know what the best part is too? That they're really happy to take certain criticism because it doesn't impact on them. They're just like, yeah. But it's really nice when they can actually start to become self-aware and go, oh, yeah. And you know what? Like if you've got someone like that you work with that just has no filter and says it how it is, just say to them, can I just ask how you said it that way, and perhaps maybe to work on that a bit more. But if you want to get some more skills and develop a little bit more about developing how you can actually have an understanding of others and how you communicate with others and how that impacts others, I do have other modules that you can have a look at. And more importantly, I can do some coaching with you as well, so we can work on that. So that is the self-reliance. So thank you for taking the time. I do appreciate you taking the time of doing this quiz, because most don't have the time to do it and think, oh, this is stupid, I'm not going to do this. But I do thank you. If you do take it further, that is even better. And good luck with the way everything's going to be for you. See ya.